Thank you, General President Schaitberger. Appreciate that introduction, Mr. Miller, Mr. O'Connor, members of the IAFF. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first begin by thanking the IAFF for its leading-edge work in advancing our nation's fire and emergency services and advocating for the courageous men and women who deliver them. It's an honor to be here, and I thank you for inviting me. There's no question that you are part of a trust that spans centuries, a public trust woven tightly into the fabric of our society, a trust that attracts people who are grounded in personal values, human values, values of service. On behalf of Secretary Shinseki and the Department of Veterans Affairs, let me thank you for what you have done for almost a century of service and for what you continue to do for our communities and our country. As I say that, I can recall vividly the memories of 9/11, the raw heroism of our firefighters and EMTs on that day. That was the day that, among many extraordinary acts of heroism, they managed to organize the evacuation of Manhattan of 900,000 people in 9 hours. Compare and contrast that to Dunkirk in 1940 during World War II, in which 330,000 people were evacuated across the English Channel in 9 days. Like America's veterans, America's first responders have borne the battle, not only at the Twin Towers and at the Pentagon, but in the relentless day-to-day fight against fire, crime, emergencies on both a national and a community level. Your profession also can be one of life and death. That's the salient reason that after their tours of duty, many veterans exchange their military uniforms for the uniform and the life of the close-knit community of our first responders. Like the men and women of IAFF, they chose to continue to serve a noble purpose in life. This feeling, in my view, creates a natural affinity between firefighting and firefighters. It's a calling, a mission that matters, a mission to save lives, as well as one that shares in the community and the camaraderie of the firehouse. However, we all know that veterans are facing employment challenges that are pretty significant right now. The numbers tell the story. Americans got about 21.6 million veterans. Of that number, 2.4 million served since 2001. From this post-9/11 cohort, the unemployment rate remains far too high. This month of February, as the President just mentioned in his video a moment ago, brought some good news from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. The unemployment rate for veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan war dropped a bit, as did the rate for our youngest veteran population, age 18 to 24. We are cautiously optimistic. It's just a start. But we need to continue to press the message that hiring veterans is important. Now, one of the reasons why employment is important is because these men and women put their lives on the line for our country. They raised their hand. They decided to serve. And they've been tried and tested and trained individually and together as a team. They've seen the alternatives to our way of life and appreciate our blessings in ways that perhaps others do not. They're mature beyond their years and eager to live productive and meaningful lives. Taken together, their skills, their talents, their experience, their leadership instincts are the bedrock of high-performing teams. They're mission-oriented. They place a high value on teamwork, self-discipline, integrity and initiative, commitment and compassion. I would argue the same attributes that are the hallmark of professional firefighters. I speak about the value of veterans in an organization from firsthand experience. More than a third of VA employees are made up of veterans. That's over 100,000 of our employees. And our goal is to raise that from 33% to 40%. Not just because it's the right thing to do, but because they, as individuals, make a qualitative difference to how we deliver our services. They make split-second decisions and take deliberate action under stressful conditions. They are the people who know how to get on the objective at 2 a.m. in the morning in a driving rain, and they have what it takes to get the job done, whether it's in Kandahar or in Kansas. Representing just 1% of our population, our active military counts as our nation's most valuable resource. And when its members take on the title of veteran, they step from active duty to veteran status, we've got to treat them with care and with tangible appreciation. And we're doing just that with something called the new GI Bill. It's the largest student aid package of its kind since the original GI Bill in the 1940s, thanks to President Obama and the Congress. I'm sure you've heard of it. Basically, tuition, books, living expenses, any four-year institution in the country. I just recently did a lecture up at the Kennedy School of Government, and one young man who was a former E5 came up to me, and he's there getting a full boat to Harvard University. Also, thanks to the President and Congress, that same benefit we used to be just for 4-year is now also for community colleges and for all kinds of professional training. It's a game changer for veterans. There's no other cohort in the country that has the advantage of being able to quickly redeploy through training to meet the demand for needed skills in our community. Today, over 900,000 people are enrolled in the program, and a number are getting the credentials that they need to help them become firefighters from community colleges and training academies across the country. We expect an additional 40,000 people to take advantage of this aspect of the GI Bill in the coming year alone. It's just one of many initiatives introduced by the President to support, to develop, and to ensure that veterans are able to find a job and start or restart their civilian careers once they leave military service. Now, President Obama has stated that we have a sacred trust with those who wear the uniform of the United States of America. The IAFF can help renew and strengthen that covenant, particularly for the men and women who've shouldered the heavy burden of defense in the last decade. It's time to do more for veterans seeking employment in this still difficult labor market, and it's time to give our veterans the opportunity to transition from warriors to workers. General President Schaettberger has met with President Obama. He and I have talked at VA. We've listened to your message. We believe that the IAFF can help ensure that our returning servicemen and women are fully integrated into the economic system they have pledged to defend with a good job, a profession. Secretary Shinseki and I are available to you to discuss how we can work together to leverage opportunities that will allow them to serve our nation twice over, once in the uniform of our armed services, and once again in the uniforms of our professional firefighters and emergency medical personnel. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Great idea.